TJ, when we look at the quarterbacks, obviously a huge pair of question marks in this game. And it's not really even an evaluation of the players. It's just a product of their relative lack of reps on Saturdays, live action, meaningful situations. What are your impressions of Miller Moss and, of course, Alex Orji?
Yeah, so Alex Orji and Davis Warren would be, and then you also have Jack Tuttle, but I'm personally not a Jack Tuttle fan. So really, to me, it's a two quarterback battle. Heading into the spring game, there's a lot more uncertainty and a little bit of discomfort because they're unproven. Alex Orji is a hell of an athlete, but his arm is not. We don't know what his arm is. We don't know what he's quite capable of. In high school, he was in the 50s for completion percentage. So has he improved? Has he grown? In the spring game, he did show improvement. I think a lot of us after the spring game are more comfortable with our QB situation, but it's still a big unknown. And I'll also add quarterback and wide receiver are the biggest unknowns for Michigan. And because we have a lot of young wide receivers that now that replace previous wide receivers who went to the draft, like Ronnie Bell and Cornelius Johnson. And then quarterback-wise, we just don't know what we have. They are unproven, and we're going to find out together. That is the ceiling for Michigan will depend on the quarterback situation.
The line play, you guys have lost a lot of guys up front. Can you just fill us in? There's a lot of concerns for USC on the defensive side. Can you fill us in a little bit about the depth and newcomers on the offensive side of the ball and offensive line in particular?
Yeah, so I have my projected offensive line right now is left tackle. We have Miles Hinton, who was a transfer from Stanford. He previously had starting experience at Stanford. At left guard, we have Giovanni El Hadi, who was a former top 100 commit, extremely big-bodied offensive guard. He's like in the 320s, 6'5". At center, we have Greg Crippen, who's going to be a junior this year. He's going to be filling in for Drake Nugent, who was an extremely good player for us last year. And then at right guard, we got Josh Preby, who is a transfer from Northwestern, extremely good player. I'm very confident in Josh Preby. There's a lot of talk out of Ann Arbor that he's actually going to be our best offensive lineman next year. And then at right tackle, I will say, is potentially the biggest question mark. And I've gotten word out of Ann Arbor that they were portal shopping for a right tackle because they don't know if Andrew Gentry, who's also a former top 100 recruit, but he's one of those players that did the 2-year Mormon mission. So he came in and he had to adjust last year. And then now he's going to get the opportunity to be right tackle. But the intel from spring camp is he had ups and downs. So there's a little unknown at right tackle. But right now I got Andrew Gentry penciled in at right tackle. And I expect the offensive line play to be at an elite level. I really do. I don't think it's going to drop much. Sharon Moore does a great job of getting these guys prepared. A lot of these guys have been in the system for 2-3 years. And we have a great strength and conditioning program where we literally reload. You saw our best offensive lineman last year, Zach Zinner, get injured, and they put Trente Jones at the right tackle spot, and they moved Carson Barnhart to left guard, and our offensive line actually got better when we lost our best offensive lineman. So, it's just that is one position group where I'm not too concerned. Obviously, it's new faces, but I expect the offensive line play to be at a high level.
Following up on the matchup between USC's defensive line and Michigan's offensive line, obviously with the uncertainties that you have at quarterback, it does bring up the point that, we do not need to guess on this point. Michigan will want to establish the run first. It'll be run first and then see if it can do play action, throw up after establishing the run in this game. If you put yourself in Danton Lynn's shoes as USC defensive coordinator, just kind of sizing up the Michigan offense as you see it right now. If you're Danton Lynn and USC, are you basically stacking the box the whole first quarter and just saying, hey, you have to throw early in this game? We are going to put numbers up front, and you're going to have to do something through the air or perhaps on the perimeter. Would that be how you would attack this Michigan offense early, or do you think Michigan's balance might be getting a little bit undersold?
Yeah, well, it depends on the quarterback. So if we have Alex Orji, right, then he's a dual threat quarterback. He's very gifted athlete. I fear that stacking the box is going to limit Michigan's offensive potential. Now, if Davis Warren wins the quarterback battle, he has the better arm. He has a stronger arm, more accurate arm, but he's not as mobile, right? So it really comes down to what quarterback is behind the center. If it's Alex Orji, I think stacking the box could really be a kryptonite. I think that's a potential kryptonite for Michigan. I think but again, though, let's also if Alex Orji can prove with his arm, and I expect Alex Orji to be a solid short to medium, quality passer there, but his long ball is just I don't see it, and I don't think it's going to improve. If it's Davis Warren, though, I don't know if stacking the box is going to be enough. I think our wide receiver weapons should be good enough to keep defenses honest, and Davis Warren, I do believe, can keep a defense honest. So it will come down to the quarterback. But I'll say this, though. I don't know if our quarterback can win us a game if you shut the run down. Like, that's unproven. We don't have the answer there yet.
Although, TJ, you did say at one point that Davis Warren's probably a better athlete than a lot of people give him credit for.
Yeah, so the word out of Ann Arbor is that he actually is a very gifted athlete. We just don't see him run a lot. He's obviously a pass-first quarterback, but I've gotten word that he's actually one of the better athletes. But we haven't quite seen it translate to the field yet. I mean, he did break off a run in the spring game for 26 yards, but there's no tackling in the spring game, and they take it a little easier on quarterbacks. So, you can't put too much stock into it.
All right. Well, if you're the offensive coordinator for USC, right, how would you attack this Michigan defense? I mean, you guys have some missing parts on, but it's a pretty strong, stout defense. You guys returned some key pieces with Graham and Grant, especially Will Johnson, right? Who kind of showed out.
Yep.
Where do you feel the weakness would be on your defense?
Yeah, so I believe we are going to be an elite defense this year. I feel pretty confident in saying it will be top 10, possibly top 5. Wink Martindale is the new defensive coordinator. We lost a lot of coaches to the NFL, Mike McDonald and stuff. But in theory, because Wink Martindale is very aggressive, I would say you would want to keep the defense honest by a few long balls, and then when the defense is aggressive, maybe some like plays out the backfield, running back slants, quick slants to get the ball out, because the defense is going to be coming. Like, we're definitely going to be blitzing a lot. Wink Martindale is known as Dr. Blitz. So yeah, I would say quick slants, and then keeping the defense honest with the deep ball would probably be the best bet. I do not think anyone's going to have success running the ball on us. Like, it's just not going to happen this year. I don't see anyone doing it. Go on.
Sorry to follow up on that. How different is the defense going to be now? You have Martindale coming, and then you have Minter, right? Minter came from that tree.
Yeah, correct.
What do you with his Minter's departure, but then Martindale coming in? How much different schematically is this defense going to be?
Not a lot different, because Wink Martindale is actually the architect of the defense. It's just what Mike McDonald did and then Jesse Minter did. They just evolved it with a little more coverage disguises, which is what really helped us against teams like Ohio State, because they didn't know what they were looking at. But I think the defense is going to be very similar, but I do expect the aggressiveness and the blitzing to increase. And so a lot of people at the Michigan fan base have been concerned that Wink Martindale's a little too blitz happy, but a lot of people have run the numbers of what he did for the Giants and Baltimore. And what we found is his blitzing is opponents specific, right? So every game is not the same amount of blitzes. He does tone it down. He does play more cover 2 and cover 3 with certain opponents. So I would think a team like yours, he might tone that down a little bit because you guys are obviously an aggressive offense with Lincoln Riley. So it'll be interesting to see the chess match. I think Wink Martindale I think it's going to be a pretty smooth transition. I really do. And by all accounts, like, everybody loves him. Like, he's really he's like the type of guy you want to have a beer with, So we'll see what happens. It was a big coaching turnover for University of Michigan, but everyone seems to be assembling very nicely and familiar with the scheme, like the coaches we brought in. So that's how I do it.
About this game in general, TJ, two items emerge. One is it's mid-afternoon. It's not Fox Big Noon. So, like, USC's not dealing with the body clock issue as a West Coast team, and the other part of this is it's an early season game. It's first up on the Big Ten schedule. How much of a deal? How big a deal is it for those two? And I think especially the fact that this is a September game as opposed to a late October, early November game. Neither team will have been especially established. Both teams trying to kind of feel their way into the season. I mean, you could spin this as USC's the less proven program. Michigan's defending national champion, but Michigan obviously has some key concerns at some very important nerve center positions, quarterback most of all. So like getting this game early, how do you think that's going to play? How do you think that moves the needle on this game?
Well, I think it's going to be huge. I mean, so I'm not familiar with you guys' non-conference schedule. I think you guys actually because we play Texas. Who do you guys? I know you have a big game. Who's the opponent you guys have in the non-conference?
Little school called LSU and Notre Dame on our.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you guys are going to be tested early. We're going to be tested with Texas. I think both teams are going to be, mid-season form by the time the game comes. I like that we're playing early. I mean, it would have been nice to get you guys in like November at the Big House, but especially like a night game, that would have been epic. But yeah, I mean, I think I think it's good timing for both teams. I think it's a good and we're going to find out both teams early. I mean, obviously you guys are going to be tested early. We're going to be tested early with non-conference games. Where do we stand in the Big Ten, right? So I like where it's placed. It would have been cool if it was a night game. I'm pro night game guy, but yeah, I don't think it's going to have too much effect for you guys in terms of weather or anything of that nature. So I don't know. I like where it's placed. I mean, would you guys? I'm sure you guys are happy with it being in September too, right?
Well, no, because like I said, Martindale blitzing. If they're going to come blitzing at a team that has, this is going to be there are going to be some young guys starting on our line. So no, I really would have liked this offensive line. Excuse me, to get a little more time together, right? Get some a little more battle tested before they're going to go up against that Martindale attack. So that itself, and plus we don't play Notre Dame till later in the season. We're going to play Utah State right before you guys, and we kick off with LSU. But no, I would definitely, if there was a way to play this game, maybe in October, like late October, I think that would have been better timing for USC because we don't play late because we're kind of thin, but we have some young pieces that we want to develop. So yeah, so. It would have been nice to get you guys in the middle, I think.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you guys are breaking in a new quarterback too. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I actually feel good about the game, but the Texas game is going to decide a lot for me and how confident I really am. I think Michigan's going to be in a good position for that game, but we'll find out. The Texas game could make me very humble.
TJ, any parting shots on USC, Michigan, the matchup, the history, the Big Ten?
Yeah, well, how about this? We should give a prediction. Like, who do we think is going to win? Let's give a score. Obviously, it can evolve. We're in June, so I mean, things can happen. Injuries can happen.
Michigan 27-13 is my prediction right now.
Okay. 27-13, huh?
Hey, Tim, remember, I'm the Josh Henson skeptic.
Yeah, right. Just staring down.
Matt was ready for that question, that prediction offering. He was ready.
Yeah, so I got a feeling that Matt might already have a very early prediction article in the works. I would have to say, I think USC covers. What is it, 10.5 right now?
I don't know. I don't know what the spread is.
I have a lot of faith in this defense. I really do, and I think
why? Because you're coordinator. Why? Because you're a coordinator.
No, because the piece we brought in, because of secondary. Because a couple things here. Ready? Like you said, people have said here, if they stack the box, we have the kind of corners. We brought in really good corners. We try to make Orgy throw the ball to beat us with your receivers against our. Yeah. And I don't think that you guys do realize it. So yes, you are a Henson skeptic, which I'm fine with, and I know that this defense is going to be pretty damn stout. But we have receivers that I don't think that the Big Ten is ready for. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. I just don't. I think that we should be. The worry.
Washington said the same thing, man.
The worry I have is going to be later in the game. Okay. And the depth that USC has is going to become a problem. And it's kind of be, I look at some of those Ohio State games where it's tight, slugging, and then just the depth and the body blows through 3 quarters that USC is going to take. I don't know if they have the bodies yet to take those blows. And so even though it's early in the season, it's going to be really interesting to see if USC can play 4 quarters. If this game ended, if we played 3 quarters of football, then I'm a lot more optimistic. But I think you get in that 4th quarter against the way Michigan plays football, if you're not rotating your line, you're going to have some tired guys. And then Donovan Edwards is going to break one off and run, 80 yards down the field. And all of a sudden it went from being a 9-point game to a 16-point game in 5 seconds. So, I mean, that's really what, well, not 5 seconds, but you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm worrying about. Matt, you're looking at what you said, 2 touchdowns. I forgot your score again.
You're muted.
I think you're muted.
I think if Miller Moss is going to have a really bad game this season, it's the Michigan game. For every possible reason. Michigan's quality. It's early in the season. Our friend Nick Shepkowski from Fighting Irish Wire obviously chiming in here on the chat. And Nick knows that, Brian Kelly's defense is going to get shredded by Miller Moss and USC in week 1. So USC is going to come into Michigan thinking, oh, this thing's pretty easy. And then Michigan's going to put the clamps on.
I would be shocked if USC does not score 14 points, Matt. Yeah, I'm thinking more USC is going to lose. I don't see USC staying with Michigan. And my reasoning again is purely speculation because there's a lot of young, unproven talent that's coming into USC, which could change. We could see that. Who knows what the LSU game? I mean, maybe you come back after LSU and Texas games, right? And we'll take a look at.
Tim, what's your score? I'm sensing. I'm
going 31. I'm going to go 31.
21.
Oh, that's almost my score.
That would be covered by a half a point. I'll say at 31-23. That weird some field goals in there.
Mine's 31-20. So we're in the same ballpark. I do think USC will get more than 14. I think USC, but I do agree though that stacking the box against Michigan, I don't know what that means yet. That could be a problem. We're going to find out though.
As soon as Matt delivered 27-13, I thought, Matt, you are not respecting Lincoln Riley in this USC offense. But the more he talked and the rest of us talked, it ruminated more and more. And I thought, I'm just about there as well. Just to be different and add a point or two, I guess I'll go 27-17. Because if I take USC in the 10.5, or maybe it'll balloon a couple points before kickoff, and I'll run with that. 27-17.
I just want to say something here. So, I know Tim, he was hesitated when I said 27-13. There was just that initial reaction. I mean, I think Michigan's better than USC. That does not mean that USC is going to be a rubbish football team this season. Right. This is the most likely loss on USC's schedule. And USC is probably going to lose at least one other game, maybe 2. But just this is in the big house, and it's early in the season with a non-Caleb Williams quarterback. This sets up as a loss. But it's not a verdict on USC. It's that Michigan's better, and the game sets up well for Michigan. Being at home, it's not a verdict. People should not read this as a verdict on USC.
It's the actual score,
I think it's a game USC's likely to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue saying USC's going to lose. I mean, I think that most people, if they're betting their own money, if they're betting their mortgage on this game, not a lot of even Trojan fans are going, yeah, let's bet the mortgage on SC, because there's question marks on both sides, right? But there's continuity on both sides. But the issue I'm having is, one, here's what's going to come down to in my book. Is Michigan going to score 27 or 31 points? I mean, I think we're giving that offense a lot of credit that may not be worthy of it. And the second side of it is Will USC's defense not be able to hold up? That's the point. Well, my number is where I'm having trouble with what they're going to score. I'm telling you, I'll come right now and I will eat. You can serve my curl up nice and fat. If USC doesn't score at least 14 points, I'll be right here on camera apologizing to Michigan Nation, because I'm telling you, when was the last time Lincoln Riley, right? When was the last time Lincoln Riley here's the game that worries me is last year's Notre Dame game. Okay. That worries me about this kind of the matchup.
What did they score in that game? Wasn't that like 31-13? What was the final score of that game?
Because I was trying to think in my head the last time that they scored less than 2 touchdowns. That's why it's right there. That's the game that I can think of. The last time Lincoln Riley scored, what? You guys talking about 13 under 2 touchdowns. When was the last time Lincoln Riley offense scored 1 touchdown in a game? I mean, it could be that Notre Dame score. I have that's traumatic to me. That game literally I was sitting there watching the game with all the interceptions and just shaking my head. Like, is this offense this offensive line really this bad? And I watched about 5 plays. I said, yes, this offensive line really is this bad.
Yeah.
Notre Dame 48-20.
And USC scored a garbage touchdown late in the game. So, we can knock that one around. But Tim, you're predicting USC.
By the way, scoring points. They were not going against their 5th string defense, Matt. It was late in the game. They did score a touchdown.
Yeah, Tim, you're predicting that USC is going to score 23. So, there's a 10-point difference here, and you're saying, it'll be stunning if USC doesn't score 14 points. We're just talking about 10 points, man.
Because if you guys remember my conversation,
if you felt USC was going to score at least 30, okay, but
you guys were
over 10 points.
I wouldn't put it. Wait, hold on. Do anyone on this panel think that USC is not capable of scoring 30 next year or this year? I mean, anyone here think they're not capable of it?
I don't think they get 30 on Michigan.
Let me get a word in. Earlier, when you guys were going through the quarterback and the wide receiver, again, I always think line. And I'm sorry, no matter how good your quarterback is, even if it's Tom Brady, if he's got like a second to throw the ball, that was an aberration. If that's the offensive line we have this year, you guys, we got way bigger issues than losing a game in Ann Arbor. We're going to be losing a hell of a lot of games if that's the offense. I don't think this offensive line we're going to see that this year. I think this is a much improved offensive line. And I think you see them play as a team much more than you did as individuals you probably saw last year. And I would be shocked if USC doesn't score 20 points in this game.
And final scores can be somewhat deceiving. So it sounds like Tim's prediction is 20-13 game going into the 4th quarter, and maybe Michigan goes on some classic 6 or 7 minute drive and just rams it down USC's throat to salt away the game. And that could be, not that that's Tim's prediction, but if it's Matt's prediction fulfilled in Tim's mind, it would be 20-13 entering the 4th quarter, and then Michigan puts it together a classic 7 minute drive and rams it down their throats to ice the game 27-13.
I think it's close going into the 4th quarter, and then USC's defense just folds. Yeah. But not because of the talent scheme. I'm saying they take those 3 like Michigan football, body blow, and then there's just nothing left in the tank in the 4th quarter. Mark, like we've seen Ohio State. I mean, that's what that was. It 2 years ago. What was that game where it was like close, and over? Why?
21-22, both games in different ways. But
then the 4th quarter was just like this. You start seeing just the flood. That's the scenario I'm talking about, and that's what I'm fearful about. But I'm also saying that's not we're talking in June. We don't know what either. Does anyone really here know what either one of these teams are going to be come September? I don't think we do.
And that's why it's great that they're both playing a big-time opponent before this game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, our quarterback and wide receiver situation is an unknown. That's this. So I don't know the ceiling for the team. It's a big question mark. And it's going to really limit Michigan's ability this season if it's not where it needs to be. And I don't know if it will be. I think it will be, but I don't know.
Matt, let's do it. $50. I say we score 20 points. $50 right now. We got on the record. Let's go. $50. You're telling me SC will score 20 points in Ann Arbor.
You make money writing for the website I edit. So how about you just write a few more stories? And that'll be the money that you make.
Well, but what I'm saying is, what do I do if I win? I keep my job. All right,
There you go.
We better catch